Hello, everyone. I think people are getting connected to audio. Hello, hello, welcome. All right. I think everyone is in and connected. Welcome. So glad everyone could join us for our first of 3 Thursdays with the Myers and DeWall team here at Macmillan. My name is Kate Nuri. I am the name that you probably would have seen in all the communication and the invitations and whatnot. Delighted to have you here. I would love for each of you to introduce yourselves in the chat. Why don't you say your name, where you're from, and then I thought one fun question for everybody would be, I was thinking about this earlier today. If you win the $1.5 billion on Saturday, are you retiring or are you going to keep working? There's your question. So name, where you're from, and 1.5 billion, retire or work. My name is Kate. I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I've worked for Macmillan for about 20 years, and I think I would probably keep working, but maybe less work hours. That's what I think. Okay, so everyone, I'm sure you noticed this already. When you entered the Zoom, you are muted, but you can unmute if you'd like to ask questions. We want you to participate and engage with us. You can also use the chat function if you'd rather do that than unmute and or raise your hand. We're going to record this mostly because there were people who registered because knowing they couldn't be here live, but would like to see Mollie's talk. So we will send out the recording of Mollie. If anyone has trouble with Zoom or has never been introduced to it, feel free to let me know. But you got your audio function, your video function, and then the chat is where you can enter some questions there in your control bar. And with that, I am going to, I was going to introduce people. So from our Myers DeWall team today, we have Mallory, who is our events coordinator. We have Nathan DeWall, one of our wonderful authors, and David Nathan's program manager is Carlise, and I'm going to hand it over to her to introduce the session.
Yeah, hi, thanks everybody. Welcome, so glad you could make it. Dave Myers is not here today. He is actually, I think, on a plane right now on his way to Utah. He is meeting with high school teachers and giving a talk at Utah's TOPS conference, so teaching of psychology in secondary schools. So he's sorry to miss it, but he'll be here next week if you're able to come to next week's session. And then also, like Kate said, our co-author, Dr. Nathan DeWall, who at University of Kentucky is here. So welcome to Nathan. And then also we're introducing Dr. June Gruber. Oh my gosh, we call my daughter that, June. I'm so sorry. And I'm calling
it's all good.
Ruby, that's her nickname. Oh my gosh. So Dr. June Gruber, who is our new co-author. She is working on the 14th edition of Psychology as a co-author. The authors are working on it right now. She's at the University of Colorado at Boulder. And as you know, she'll be giving a talk next week. And we'll learn more about June and hear from June next week. So welcome to June. So great to have you here. And then introducing Dr. Mollie Anderson. She is our instructor at the University of Memphis. And I think she's been there since 2016. And she's been teaching and coordinating the general psychology auditorium course, which I think holds 600 students. She directs undergraduate psychology internship program and its professional development course. And she also instructs in human sexuality courses. And she's also won like a long list of teaching awards. So we're so thankful she could be here. She's a longtime adopter of Myers DeWall. She was a class tester of Achieve. So she's been familiar, I think, at least 2 or 3 semesters. And so she's actually seen firsthand how Achieve can help students set goals, gain confidence, and reach their personal goals in the course. And so she's going to show us a new feature in Achieve called the Goal Setting and Reflection Surveys. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mollie.
While I stop sharing here to give it to Mollie, Carlise, if you win the 1.5 billion on Saturday, are you going to keep working or are you retiring?
I'm retiring. So it's been nice knowing you, Kate. We'll stay in touch.
We worked together for a long time. It's been enough years. You can retire. I'll let you.
Okay.
Oop, you're muted still, Mollie.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here with all of y'all. What a lovely way to spend the afternoon today. And I am going to keep working, but I'm definitely going to be traveling while I work some too. So I'm really hoping I'm going to win this thing. I wish us all the best of luck. So I am Mollie Anderson. As Carly said, I am from the University of Memphis, and I am the coordinator and instructor for our general psychology auditorium classes. I work with an amazing teaching team. Robert Seals is the other instructor. And then I've had 2 recent course managers who've really helped us get to know Achieve, and Sam Bostre and Aaliyah Gold. So before I dive into Achieve, I just wanted to let you guys know where we're heading today and orient you a little bit. First, I'm going to talk about why I think instructors should adopt Achieve. Starting out talking about any instructors, then specifically focusing in on why Launchpad veterans should be excited about Achieve. Then we're going to go on an Achieve tour where I'm going to show you some of the elements that we have found to be most helpful in our teaching. And in that Achieve tour, I'm going to show you one of my classes, and I'm going to head on over to the reports tab to show you some insights from the goal setting and reflection intro survey, which is the first survey that we assign in our class that really helps us get to know our students. I'm going to share a case study with you where you're going to meet one of our students who had low confidence in her ability to succeed in our course. And I'm going to read some of her responses to some of the GSR intro survey questions to help you get a feel of how those responses and going through them can be helpful. Then I'm going to go, and then I'm going to share with you how we process the qualitative data from our student survey responses. I'm going to show you our thematic analysis from open-ended questions and talk to you a little bit about a project we're working on right now, developing custom emails based on our students' responses to the qualitative questions. Next, I'm going to show you some insights from the Checkpoint Survey 1, which is the next goal setting or reflection survey that our students complete. And last but not least, I'm going to show you what our students think about Achieve. You're going to understand by the end of this that I adore Achieve, but I also want you to understand too that students really enjoy it as well. So earlier this year, I was preparing for a presentation on the goal setting and reflection surveys to instructors. And I spent a lot of time trying to reflect on what would I want to know as an Achieve novice? What are the things that are the most important things to tell y'all? So I came up with 5 top reasons why any instructor should want to adopt Achieve. So the first thing is that really helps free up time for instructors to teach and focus on those most important and difficult concepts. So Achieve kind of covers the broad array of things that I want my students to know, and then I'm able to spend my teaching time on the things that I know they're going to struggle with. Achieve helps students also engage with the course material. So I want to just take a moment and get a little love to another set of activities in Achieve, the learning curves. For those of you who have used Launchpad, you know learning curves are oftentimes instructors' favorite tool in the online platforms that Macmillan has brought to us. Learning curves are adaptive quizzing activities. You've got to love them. They take advantage of the testing effect. And they help students who aren't avid text readers learn to answer questions and to be able to, if they've read, they can answer them quickly. If they haven't yet read the chapter, they can click on a button and go directly to that part of the chapter where they can read to find the answer to the question. So it's really nice that it prompts them to learn the material, and it also helps them realize that reading the textbook can be really helpful for their understanding of the content in the class. The third thing that Achieve does is it really helps you connect with your students. And I know that by the end of the time together today, you're really going to see this clearly through the goal setting and reflection surveys. To me, this is one of the most important aspects of Achieve, and it's something that sets it apart from other online learning platforms, from other publishers, as well as setting it apart from Launchpad. Then the fourth thing is that Achieve provides a safety net for instructors and for their students. So it really allows students, they can check out other resources that you don't assign. Sometimes I'll tell my students, hey, there's amazing videos embedded in Achieve. And so if you're tired of studying one day, instead of getting on YouTube, get on Achieve and watch some of the videos there because they're wonderful and they can help you learn content even while you're just relaxing and watching videos. So for students, there's lots of great activities that can help them learn the content in the chapters. A safety net for us, it wasn't something that I'd really expected. Last semester, I had a head injury and I was taken out of the classroom, and having the Achieve platform and all the activities available to assign to students, as well as my amazing teaching team who supported me in my absence, I really felt like my students were well cared for, that they were going to learn the content that I wanted them to learn. And without having had the Achieve, been using the Achieve platform, I think I would have been a lot more fearful about that transition. The last thing that Achieve really does is it really helps support self-regulated learning and metacognition. And you'll see that in the goal setting and reflection surveys, which to me are absolutely positively priceless. So next, let me talk really quickly to you Launchpad veterans out there. So why should a Launchpad veteran adopt Achieve? Achieve has a modern interface that has a lot more functionality than Launchpad, both in its increased performance as well as in its specific features that have been added. So what are some of those performance strengths? Well, Achieve is a lot more visually appealing. Imagine yourself looking at Internet Explorer versus Google Chrome. There's no contest, right? And it's easier to navigate the Achieve platform and find more opportunities for student engagement. Looking through for activities and using filters, it's much easier to navigate than Launchpad. Achieve is also much faster and less glitchy than Launchpad, and it has far fewer technical problems for students. So I don't receive nearly as many email complaints from my students, and I don't end up feeling like my students expect me to be an IT expert anymore, which is a huge relief for me because I'm actually a technophobe. And so I think that those are some of the really important reasons, performance-wise, why a Launchpad veteran would be excited about moving to Achieve. As far as some of the special features in Achieve that aren't available in Launchpad, there's these new Achieve Getting Started pop-up that pops up when you log in that provides you really quick access to course customization tools. And it provides you with a fast and easy way to explore the features of Achieve. And we see pop-ups a lot in the other apps that we use on the daily. So it's really nice to see Achieve utilizing this feature. There's also, drum roll, a batch assign and update feature in Achieve that can help you assign and edit assignments really easily. Gone are the days of having to drag different activities, individual assignments around a very primitive calendar like you've been doing in Launchpad. Achieve's prominent left side toolbar also provides us with a really convenient access to instructor resources as well as reports. And that design is what we as consumers have gotten really accustomed to when we're navigating other websites that we use. So this is a really nice addition. The resource tab in the Achieve toolbar also makes it easier for us to find videos and activity supplements for our lectures very quickly. Achieve also provides with filters where you can search the resource type. So you can select which particular type of resource type, whether you're looking for adaptive quiz, an in-class activity guide, interactive activity, a link, or a reading. And then you can also filter it by recommended use. So I'm searching for an activity that I want to use before class, or one that I might want to use in class or after class. And the filtering tool is really, really powerful. You no longer have to go searching through all available activities to find certain activities for your students. And that's been really, really helpful for me. Especially if I, I'm trying to send out a quick email to my students on a Friday to say, hey, if you want to do this activity, this will really help to strengthen your understanding of this concept I just studied. I've really loved that tool. Now, this next feature is really amazing. So in Achieve, you have an insight feature, and it's an insight tool. And it's like having an embedded statistician in your class who has wicked graphing skills. Who knew I even needed that, right? Thankfully, our Macmillan learning scientist did. It's one of the most helpful insights in there, helps you as an instructor find out which students haven't yet logged into your course, into Achieve at the very beginning of the semester, which is really fabulous, so that you can catch those students who haven't yet logged on to Achieve really early before they start to fall behind. And so there's lots of different insights that I'm going to show you today as I review the goal setting and reflection surveys. Then the main reason that I'm here to talk to you today is about those goal setting and reflection surveys. They are, like I said, absolutely priceless. Now, that's a lot of great reasons a Launchpad veteran should adopt Achieve, right? But last but not least, the best reason is that change is inevitable. As an instructor, why not try to transfer to Achieve on your own terms rather than having to transfer under pressure with a deadline bearing down on you, right? So I hope that maybe these reasons about why to adopt Achieve, either as a new instructor or as somebody who's used Launchpad, have helped you think a little bit about the strengths of Achieve and what you might be missing. So next, I want to talk to you about the whole reason that I'm here, right? Why you should adopt Achieve and why the goal setting and reflection surveys are really that number one reason. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about the GSRs. So when you're utilizing the goal setting and reflection surveys, instructors gain really important insights into the learning strategies that students are using to try to learn the information for the class and which ones they're not using that could help them, that you could take time in class to teach them about, which is something that I've really enjoyed doing. You also can gain insights into how students think the semester is going, which I'm here to tell you, oftentimes, as it turns out, isn't at all how I think the semester is going. So this has been really helpful for me as well. Also, those goal setting and reflection surveys help you identify students' needs so that you can target your interventions and provide support to your students just in time, which has been a really helpful feature for us in our auditorium classes to be able to capture those students who need support from us or for other campus resources or community resources, and to really catch those students early on before there's a crisis. So what do students get from the goal setting and reflection surveys? Well, students are able to set goals for themselves, and not their parents' goals, not our goals for them, but really think through their own goals for themselves. They're able to reflect on their learning throughout the semester as the class progresses, because we give goal setting and reflection surveys across the semester. So they're able to reflect on their learning as they go. They're also able to learn skills that they can apply to other classes, which students really get. It really resonates with them that they're learning these skills by completing the goal setting reflection surveys that they're applying to their other classes. So not only is it helping them in their performance in my class, but it's helping them in their other classes as well. And students really get that. All right. I know I've been talking at you. It's kind of like trying to take a sip out of a fire hose. So I apologize. I love this product and I want to make sure I have enough time for us to explore Achieve together. So allons-y. Let's go. And I'm going to now stop sharing my slides and head on over to Achieve so I can show you some of the great activities that I've been talking about.
And feel free, if you have questions, to post them in the chat along the way. I mean, we'll have time at the end for Mollie to answer questions, but we'll be looking at the chat too.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Carlise. I appreciate that. So here's what Achieve looks like. You can already see it's a little bit sexier, so to speak, than our Launchpad predecessor. Over here at the top, this little red insignia is the Achieve logo. If you clicked on that, it would show me all my classes, including the section managers that I've had since I started using Achieve. Here's the My Course. If you clicked on that, it would take you to your course. You can look at the course view 3 different ways, which is really helpful, from assignments and as the assignments are scheduled, by the assessment type, by resources. It's very helpful, the different views that you have options to look through. In the resources tab, you're able to use that filter to filter and find different resources, which is really nice. Gradebook is just like pretty much other grade books. I like it. I don't have any complaints. The reports is where we're going to spend most of our time today. And the ebook, it's really nice, very easy to access. We don't have to search for it. It's right here. And then people, all of the students who are enrolled in the class. You can also create your own content should you decide to do that. And you can preview it as a student in case you're wondering what it looks like from the student side. So that's that menu I was telling you about. I absolutely love it. I think it's really great. Okay, so let's pick up on the reports. So this is a report. We are looking at insight cards. These are the different cards that I was telling you about. It's kind of like having that embedded statistician. You can see there's really nice graphs that are easy for me to read. So in a class of 200 to 400 students, it would be really hard for me to look through all this data student by student. And so there's some really nice collapsed statistics that are run that I can quickly find out from the intro survey how my students are feeling about the class. So how confident are my students? Well, you can see here that the class average is 3.5 out of 5. That's pretty good, right? I feel pretty good about that. These are freshmen, mostly freshman students. Many of them have been online through the pandemic and now they're back in person. So, 3.5, I'm feeling pretty good about. You can see over here, they also pull up some qualitative responses about confidence for students. So here are 2 example student responses. I'm doubtful about my ability to do well because of my habits. I can be lazy at times, and I am sometimes easily distracted, and I have a huge tendency to procrastinate. So looking at this first up here, looking at this first insight card, you may notice over here that one person rated their confidence as 1. And as a professor or instructor, you probably, like me, is like, I want to know who that is and how I can support them. So if you go over here to view more, if you clicked on that, you would see all the students and their scores and how they rank their confidence, as well as their qualitative responses to the confidence related question. I'm going to show you the one student. She has given me permission to show you her responses. And because it really helps show how helpful this tool is. So I'm going to show you through the questions one at a time for Madison Bell for the intro survey, the first of the goal setting and reflection surveys. So the first question is, what are you hoping to learn in this class? And are there any skills you're hoping to walk away with? She said, I'm hoping to learn what is needed to be learned for this course. I want to learn more about real world situations. And that's what I'm hoping to take away from this course. Anything beneficial to me as a person, mentally and physically, I hope to take out this course? Well, that's great, because that's how my course is set up. So really helping them learn how to live better lives and to improve the world around them by applying psychological science. So I was excited to read that for Madison. What grade was she hoping to achieve? She wanted an A. She'd be okay with getting a B. On a scale of 1 to 5, she rated not confident in her ability to achieve her goal in the class. And that's what brought us to her. So what makes you confident or doubtful of your ability to do well in this course? What makes me doubtful on my ability to do well in this course is I feel lost at times. I understand the student to teacher ratio is extremely high. And I feel as if my professor for this course can't actually be an assist to each student because there's lots of students. I have to adapt myself to this course. I feel like I can if I give myself time. Okay. So imagine Madison's surprise when she gets an email from me saying, hey, Madison, I want to reach out to you. I saw your responses from the intro survey, and I saw that you were concerned about how much interaction you were going to have with your professor. And I want to invite you to my office hours so I can get to know you a little bit better and see how the teaching team can best support you as a student. Right? So this is a wonderful opportunity from the GSRs, from the intro survey, that we have an action step that we can take to help support a student. So next question on the intro survey is, now consider how many hours per week you plan to spend on this class, not including the lecture time. If you're not sure yet, it's all right. This will help serve as a baseline to compare yourself to later in the semester. So they're going to be able to track how much time they're spending across the semester. And she indicated about 12 hours per week, which is on the high side, right? So this would be something that would be great to talk to her about as well. So the next question is, how you spend your time can be as or more important as how much time you're spending. Next, we're going to take a look at 4 categories of learning strategies that come from best practices and recent discoveries in learning science. As you read over the following options, take a minute to reflect on whether you have truly tried the strategy in your own life. Consider each one carefully before you move on. So there's 4 categories of strategies within the goal setting and reflection surveys. This first category is space it out. Learning happens over time, not all at once. So it asks the students to select at least one strategy that they're going to use to help space out their studying. And they can choose as many as they like, right? Well, what do we notice about this freshman student about strategies, right? Well, she chose them all. Right? I'm going to do them all. I'm so dedicated. I'm so scared. I'm not confident. I'm just going to do it all. Whatever you tell me to do, whatever's on here, I'm doing it all. And you'll see that kind of dedication and what she thinks she's going to do follows throughout her responses. So for category 2, it's challenge yourself. We don't always know what we don't know. So select at least one strategy that will help you challenge yourself. And she didn't do all of them this time, right? But she did say she wanted to create flashcards, shuffle the topic she's studying, attempt problems without looking at her notes. And so these are things that I could talk to her about when she comes to the office hours. The next category is getting outside help. So we learn more from interacting with and getting help from other people. So select one strategy that you could use to help get outside help, one or more. And again, she chose all of them. Then category 4 is on environment and mindset. Make sure you're getting the most out of your study time, right? Again, all of them. So then it says, all right, you're nearly done. Now just for a few background questions. What year are you? A first-year student? What plan or intended career path are you considering after you're completing this program or transferring after graduation? My 2 majors are child life specialists. Child life specialists are educated and clinically trained in the developmental impact of illness and injury. The role of the child life specialist is to help improve patient and family care. So when she comes to my office hours, I can talk to her about the developmental chapter and how we're going to talk about development and childhood development, and talk to her about the different topics that she might be interested in learning about that are going to be taught in the class. Then her two majors are child life specialists and academic counseling. And why are you taking this class? For Madison, she's fulfilling a requirement for her degree. So this is a gen ed class, and most of my students are taking it because it's a requirement, right? Most of them aren't intrinsically motivated by wanting to study psychology as a major. Now, this question is really important. If you've taken this class before, where did you take it? So this is her first time taking this class. Some people have taken it high school. Some people have repeated it at this school. So that's one of the questions that I always want to know is if somebody's repeated it at this school, if they failed the first time or withdrew, so that I can know how to support them and help them think through how they may do their approach to the class differently this time. Are there any obligations or obstacles that you may face that your instructor should know about or be mindful of? To me, this is one of the most important questions on the intro survey. So Madison says, I'm a family person. I'm someone who my family depends on for various reasons. I do work. I'm employed. Please, all caps, if you see me down or not my best, just check on me from time to time. Right? This is why I really encourage you, if you decide to assign the goal setting reflection surveys, that you read through them, because students share really personal information that can help you make connections with them. They reach out for help in these surveys. They ask for connection. And so I was able to tell this student's TA, right, that this is someone we need to keep track of, right? I was also able to give early resources for our counseling center on campus and tell them about individual counseling and the groups on campus. I also walked them through learning about the different registered student groups on campus. But being able to, from the response to this question, identify this person as someone who needs some extra support before they got lost through cracks and ended up in crisis is really, really valuable. It's priceless to me. And I'll never, ever teach a class without the GSRs. After 3 semesters, I can't tell you how many students we caught early, provided supports to. Of course, we don't know the counterfactual, what would have happened if we hadn't used the GSRs, but I know that I am getting far fewer students at the end saying, oh my gosh, I'm failing and all these things have been going on. We're catching people early and being able to provide them with supports that are really important to their success, not just as a college student, but as a human. So I love this question too. The last question in the intro survey is, this survey gave me an idea for at least one strategy to try. Almost every student that I've ever looked at says strongly agree. These, just assigning the surveys, even if you never intend to look at them, help students develop metacognition and self-regulate their learning. Because just by asking them to choose which strategy that they think they want to use during a certain time period, they're learning about all the other strategies that are listed. And so they come up with new ideas of new things they can try. After an exam, if they don't do as well as they want to, they can go back and look through and see what other strategies they might be able to try, which I think is really exciting. So I'm going to go back now to the insight cards and leave Madison for a few minutes. I just want to go back so you can kind of see the other insight cards that are available for the intro survey. What goals students have. Most students want an A or a B. Some people are okay with C, and one person's okay if they just pass the class. That's all their intention is. How much time students are planning to spend outside of class. For this class, the class median was about 9 hours, which is a little higher than some of my other classes. And it's kind of skewed a little bit in the median I'm sorry. I looked at this, right? And this is not mean, it's median, so I don't have to worry about these folks, but this is a great opportunity to send a quick email, right, to these students who are planning on studying for just my class for 19 hours or 21 hours, and maybe have a discussion about how you spend your time. How do you plan on spending this 19 hours or 21 hours, and helping them realize, wow, if I tried to spend 19 or 21 hours for every my class, each week, like how am I going to have a life outside of studying? So this is a great opportunity to intervene in those students as well. This question here, what challenges or obstacles do students have? I told y'all this was my favorite question. I think it really helps us identify folks who may need some early support. I'm a University of Memphis cheerleader, so if I miss any days, it's likely because I got assigned something for cheer. The only thing I can think of is that sometimes I find myself not reaching out to others for help because I'm scared to fail or ask the wrong thing or wrong person. I tend to let stressful things build up until I crash. In my classes, in the past, I'm always down to go to extra office hours. So we get a real sense of folks and what they're expecting and what obstacles they expect through reading through the responses. Now, I read through, take a deep breath, every student's response, all qualitative responses, because I found them to be so valuable. In our classes of 200 students, 400 students, we read through each one of these. Now, I set that time apart from my other work time, and I take a course manager or TAs or the other instructor, whoever's available, and we'll make a time to go get some coffee together and really enjoy the exploration of looking through the responses so that we can figure out who we can help support early on in the semester, get them the resources they need so they can be successful in the class. We do that through a process of doing a thematic analysis. So I want to show you kind of what that looks like. So we look through all of the qualitative data. I'm going to just show you two of the questions. So what makes you doubtful of your ability to do well in this course? Well, we go through and pick out meaning units from each one of the students' responses, and we start adding them to a list, a bulleted list. And then whenever somebody else has the same meaning, then we add a tick mark. And we're developing emails based on student response patterns, so that we can look at our students' data and then send out emails to provide the supports and the information that people need based on the responses to these qualitative questions. So are there any other obligations or obstacles that you may face? You'll notice our students are facing a lot of health problems, right? And so making sure they know about the Student Health Center on campus, that it's free of charge for them, is really important, right? Letting them know about applying for accommodations through Disability Resources for Students early on in their career, in their first semester, so they don't end up a junior or senior just finding out that they could have had those accommodations throughout. Lots of our students don't know they can get accommodations for mental health related issues. And so this is really helpful for us to make early reaching out. We have a lot of people with work obligations, people taking care of family members who are terminally ill. We have students who express that they're homeless, that the only way we would have known that they were homeless or they don't have access to a computer or internet are through their responses to these surveys. Then last but not least, this person here says too many to list, right? So this is somebody that we sent an email to during our time when we were doing coding. We immediately reached out to this person to try to set up a time to talk to them. So this process, it takes a while, but it is really matches our values and matches it really helps improve student outcomes anecdotally. And so it's something that we feel really strong about, that we've continued to do. And so people always ask, oh my gosh, how do you look through all of these qualitative responses for all these students? And I say, well, we do it by honoring the time and realizing that it's community building and that it's going to make a difference in these students' lives, not just in their academic lives, but in their personal lives as well. So let me head back and get back to these insights. So what are students hoping to get out of the class? I love this question because it helps me know how to tailor my examples in the class, so that if somebody is interested in the human mind and what makes it work and what makes the brain and their body work, I can tell them, hey, it's going to be coming up in class. In the first week, say, hey, if you're interested in brain and behavior, we're going to talk a lot about brain and behavior and what happens when the brain becomes diseased. And we're also going to talk in small groups, which we have, where they get to do application activities, real life active learning activities. They're going to get to build a Play-Doh brain, learning the different structures and functions of the brain. So we kind of do some forecasting of things they can look forward to in the future, things that they're hoping to get out of class. I really love to know who my students are. Almost always for my class, they're mostly first-year students. I like to know what their future plans are also, because it helps me tailor examples. Somebody wants to be a midwife, right? So I can use a midwifery example in some of the teaching that I'm doing when I'm teaching different concepts. This is the 4 categories I was telling you about for the learning strategies, and you can look at patterns. So our students are planning on starting assignments early. They're planning on using reminders and/or planners. They don't yet know that it would be really helpful for them to practice or review their concepts daily, that they can be much more efficient in their learning if they review daily. And so it gives me an opportunity to talk to them about the things that they're saying they're going to do, that I want them to continue to do. And also to be able to say, hey, how about this weekend you think about summarizing your notes, right? And see how that goes for you. Did that really add to your understanding of the content from the previous week? And you can see here, they're definitely planning on using flashcards. So it's a great idea for me to teach them how I think the process is for them to get the best bang for their buck in using flashcards and using examples and making sure they write application to their own life on there as well. They never know how to use concept maps. So this is something that I teach every semester, and that students at the end of the semester say, oh my gosh, Dr. Mollie, concept maps helped me in all my classes. Thank you so, so much. And so that's something that I've picked up from the goal setting and reflection surveys. How are they planning to get help and collaborate? It always makes me laugh that say they're coming to office hours. Why am I so lonely? Where are they? They say they're coming. They never come. So, but I think it's interesting that they always plan to come, right? And so I'm sending out those individual emails to students, then they do come. I also do office hours outside of the office in our university center, at football games, all over campus, and tell them, hey, come see me outside of the office. And I stay before class 30 minutes and after class 30 minutes, because I know they're much more likely to come see me there. So I make sure they know that as well. So this gives me an idea of what strategies they're using, and that is really, really helpful, and which ones they're not using, so I can teach them about that. I want to show you quickly, pick back up on Madison, because after the first exam or after the first paper, they get their next survey, goal setting reflection survey. It's called the checkpoint survey number 1. So I want to just pick up, you're probably curious what happened to Madison after her first exam. She said she got a 90 on her first exam, between a 90 and 100. It was about what she expected. She thinks she's on track for what she hopes to achieve in this class. And when asked, what do you plan to do to either get back or stay on track? She says, to stay on track, I'll continue to block out distractions and focus on the course and the content. We asked her to elaborate on any previous challenges, and and she says, at first, this course was very stressful because I thought the teacher and student ratio was very high. So I feel I wouldn't have any help, but we have great teachers and TAs and LAs. And that's because we reached out to her, right? And we were able to get her the help and support that she needed. And she didn't feel like she was just a number. She felt like she was really known. And then last, if I can get this out of the way. She said, I learned that I can do whatever I put my mind to. I can deal with any obstacles that come my way, right? Powerful, powerful, powerful. So you can look at also, there'll always be the insight cards for each one of the goal setting and reflection surveys that you assign. And in the goal setting and reflection surveys, when you go to achieve, you just pick a different survey. And in checkpoint survey 1, the class feels more confident. I can reach out to the people who feel off track because I can sort them by people who feel off track. The students are spending 7 hours, which is good. It went back down. They projected 9, but they're only spending 7. I can look at where their challenges are coming from and see how they feel like they've grown, how their expectations are being met. They did much better on their exam or as well as they thought they would do. So that was great to see. And then you can see how often they're using the different strategies and really be able to target your interventions to your class using that data. The last thing I really want to share with y'all, as I have been going on about how fabulous this product is and these goal setting reflection surveys are, I want to make sure that I also show you how the students feel about these goal setting reflection surveys. Sorry, let me get this up better. Does anybody have any quick questions, Carlise?
You answered Stacy's question about how you manage so many students and their responses. So that's the only question so far.
Okay, great. Okay, here we go with sharing again. We should be able to get it up now.
Yeah, we can see that.
Perfect. Okay. So in the beta test, the first beta test with students, 503 students who completed one goal setting reflection survey or more, the students said they improved as a student this semester. 80% of them strongly agreed. The goal setting and reflection surveys were valuable use of my time. This shocked me. I didn't think students would think this was valuable for them. I just thought they'd be like, okay, I'll do them because you give points for me to do them, but I don't think it's valuable. 2/3 of them strongly agreed, right? And this is stuff that doesn't directly relate to content. And so for me, that was a huge surprise. And I was really excited that students really understand how valuable this tool is. And they're willing to do them if I give them points to do them, and they always do them. They only about 10% of people don't do the intro survey, which is about the same 10% who don't do the other assignments. And by the checkpoint survey, it's really first survey, it's about the same. It starts to drop off just a little bit on the second, third checkpoint survey, but not any more than the rest of the assignments for the class. So they find them as helpful as the other assignments. They help them think about their goals and learning habits in and outside of class. 84% agreed strongly, and I hear that all the time. They're using these same strategies in their other classes, and they learned something new about how they could manage their time studying and learning this semester. Also, 84% of them agreed strongly. The next data specifically on goal setting and reflection surveys that I want to make sure that you see in here is that in courses that have assigned 2 or more goal setting and reflection surveys, typically that's an intro survey and at least 1 checkpoint survey. The researchers see a minimum 15% increase in students' assignment completion. Minimum 15% increase in students' assignment completion. That's amazing, right? And then that results in at least an 8 percentile point increase in student grades in the course. That is very, very powerful, right? Absolutely priceless, not just for our students, but if you're anything like me, you're judged on students' outcomes in your class. And knowing that if you assign the GSRs, that student outcomes are going to be higher, on average, 8 percentile points higher, that's the win-win-win, right? So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I know it's been a whirlwind ride. I've been teaching you really fast about a product I am very passionate about, and I'm a fast talker. I'd love to hear if you have any questions. And you can always email me if you have anything that you'd like to talk about. I'm really passionate about teaching, and I'm always interested in hearing what you're doing in the classroom that you really love. Okay. I was going
to say there is one question in the chat about if these are presets or if these are something that you make up or if there are choices for adding. That's a really good question.
Great question. And they are preset and you can add. So it's the best of both worlds. They come preset with those great questions. I have not added any yet. We will be adding to some next semester. But all of the responses that I showed you and the questions that I showed you are the preset questions. Great question, Stacy. Thank you.
Do you use all of the questions, Molly, all the preset questions, or do you pick and choose?
I do. I use them all. They've all been quality added for me. And so I use them all.
Do you assign all of the checkpoint surveys?
I do not. So I assign the intro, the very beginning of the class, and we review them very quickly after the deadline, the due date, so that we can start responding to students and their needs. I assign the checkpoint survey 1 after the first exam, and checkpoint survey 2 after the first written assignment, and then checkpoint survey 3 right after the second exam. And I don't do any more. That I found that works really well for my students.
Great. Anybody else have anything to share? Anything else that you're doing in your class to try to get at these metacognitive skills or student engagement? Love to hear from anybody. If not, I'm just curious to just get a pulse of the group. So if you're thinking like a scale of 1 to 5, like 1 being not helpful at all and 5 being really helpful, how would you rate what you've seen as far as the goal setting reflection surveys? 1 to 5. You want to share? Just curious. Oh, here's a question from Susan. What is the time commitment for students to complete these surveys?
Yes. So on the 5 to 15 minutes. My students, some of them, it depends on whether they do it when they're distracted, if they're working at the same time they're doing it, or watching a movie on YouTube or something else. But on average, if somebody sits down and they do them, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes.
And then, what was I going to say about that? There's a question or a comment from Will, which I think is a good point, which I think it's time management, right? Like he just mentioned, like it might be hard for him to go through all those responses. So anything else you want to add to that, Molly?
Yeah, so I've found that spending the time at the beginning of the semester going through the responses saves me the time of all those conversations I used to have with students when they were in crises. So I am preloading the time that I spend, and the rest of the semester, I don't have students coming up who haven't yet logged on, that don't know what the book is, that that are in crisis, that don't have a computer, or that are working full time and needed extra support and needed to know about office hours or study groups. So I find that the time that I spend on the front end, I way get back the time that I used to spend.
Good. And then how many points? Because like you said, students aren't going to do it if you don't assign points. So what's your method for assigning?
I give them the same amount of points that they would get for doing a learning curve, or one of the chapter quizzes, or one of the critical thinking exercises. So I give them the same amount of points. I want them to know that this is a really important activity. I also tell them that students have really loved them and felt like it really helped them, not just in this class, but in their other classes as well. So I also am able to provide them with feedback from previous classes. But I've never had the students kick back at all. Like, it's an assignment. It has points. Like, this is an expectation for the class.
Yeah, so it's easy for you to just assign it and achieve, right?
Exactly.
Patrick has a question. Do you teach other courses and have research expectations?
Yes. I teach other courses, human sexuality in an internship class. I've taught abnormal and getting ready to develop a class on habits. And I do have research expectations, not in general psychology, although I say that they read journal articles in my general psychology class. We do a scaffolding where we read one all together, and then we assign them to read one on their own, and then we review their answers in our small groups. So they are supposed to learn how to consume research, because I want them to have that skill. If they or a family member gets diagnosed with an illness, I want them to know how to go find the newest research on treatments for that illness. And so we teach those information gathering and consumer of psychological science and other science skill sets.
Any other questions or comments or anything you want to share? I just had a focus group last week about skills for intropsych. It's something I'm really interested in right now, like learning about how we can support all these skills that they can take beyond intropsych. And one of the main ones was sort of this metacognitive skill that we're trying to teach and hope that they would come to the class more equipped with. So anyways, it's just one strategy. So if anyone else has anything else to share.
I will say reading through the learning strategies, Carlise, actually helped me as well in my own work. So like one of the strategies was like, before you sit down for a work period, you figure out what your to-do tasks are, what you're focusing on during that particular work period. So reading through the learning strategies and thinking about my own work strategies were helpful as well. So personally and for my students, I think engaging in that metacognition and self-regulated learning as, seeing them learning that skill has helped me acclimate and focus on that as well. Like, am I being as efficient as I can be? And what strategies do I need to use to be more efficient?
Yeah, Gina just had a question. Is there any kind of question or reflection surveys that helps a student self-identify as neurodiverse?
Okay, Gina, you need to be my buddy, because this is one of the questions we're trying to figure out. We have a number of our students who are neurodiverse. We have small groups, so we're able to, oftentimes they'll self-identify in there, but sometimes it takes 3 weeks or so if they haven't gotten accommodations for a diagnosis. And we, get reached out to by our disability resources for students on campus. This is one of the questions that we're going to add. Because I think this is really important. And the earlier we're able to identify these students, the more support we can give them. And so great question, Gina.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Play-Doh brain, y'all, is so much fun. They take pictures, they vote on the best brain. They have an amazing time, and it really has helped them learn the structures and functions exceedingly well.
So when I win $1.5 billion, I'm just going to commute to Memphis and try taking your class. I want to win the Play-Doh brain contest.
Yay, Kate!
I got to play to win, though. I better buy some tickets.
You got to play to win, girl. Got to play to win.
That's right. Well, we're almost to time, so I just want to thank everybody and just want to recap on some logistics. We have 2 more meetings this month, next Thursday and the Thursday after that. And if you signed up for this one, you would have seen the registration buttons for the other ones. But if you don't, let me know. Also, I see lots of familiar faces in here. People who have been using Dave Nathan's book for many years. I know a lot of you use Launchpad. If you don't yet have access to Achieve, let us know and we can make sure you get access. If you want some help walking through some things, we can do that as well. Last thing is that we do have a survey that we want you to fill out after this to give us some more feedback and some more specifics about what you think about skills and goal setting or reflection surveys, how you might use them in class. It really helps us sort of make our plans and think about how we're going to help people use these in class and integrate them in their teaching. So please fill that out. That will come to you in an email, and as well the link to, this is the same for all of you who were here last year, the link to the W-9 and the reviewer form so that we can process your honorarium. And for those of you who are coming to all 3 of the Thursdays, we'll just do them all at once at the end of the Thursdays in a few weeks. Any logistical questions? Okay. Well, I really appreciate everybody's time, and thank you, Mollie, so much for giving us a tour through your class. And that story about Madison definitely is touching. It gets me got me a little choked up there. So wonderful hour. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
And look for that email from me with the paperwork.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, June Gruber.
I'm going to stay on here a second just to make sure there isn't anyone else who needs Achieve access, because I saw one and I don't want to lose it. So don't close out yet, Mallory. Somebody said they needed Achieve access. Where did it go? There it is. I see it.
It's also in the survey, I think. So if you think about it, let us know. We can set you up with a demo.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, Kate, I'm closing now. Bye, everybody.
Wait, no, not yet.
Bye.
Wait.
I'll send you the chat history, Kate.
Oh, I asked her a question. Wait, just wait. Andrea, if you're still on here, let me know which Achieve you need access to.
Oh, okay. I'm still on. I'm still using Meyer and DeWall. I think it's the issue before this most recent one. Our school just has it.
Are you using Exploring Psychology? Oh, Psychology in Everyday Life. Okay, that's all I needed to know. And now you can close it, Mallory.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mollie. This was awesome. I'm super stoked.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.